the Nerdy Negroes. In this episode, we almost get to the end of Eye of the World. This was actually supposed to be the final episode of the book part of this video series podcast thingy, but there were some technical difficulties during recording on my part. My computer basically just sort of had a meltdown. So this conversation isn't finished. And as always, this is part one. Part two will be over on the Everyday Negroes channel, so you can check that out afterwards. Thank you, though, for continuing to join us. And a special thanks to our patrons of my channel and, of course, patrons of Everyday Negroes. If you are a patron, you can join us live when we record, and you can go back and watch all of the unedited live streams that we had. You can watch me have a panic attack during one of these, actually two of these recordings, when my computer basically melted down. It's not the most fun thing, but you can watch it. You can watch it, all of the unedited stuff. But I guess without further ado, let's just get into this. All right, we are at the finale. We are at the finale here. How was this week's reading for you?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna reserve my full thoughts to the end of the discussion.
Okay.
But to sum it up, good. But man, I have some reservations about some things, and you got to stay to the end to hear what it is.
All right, I'm quite excited to hear your thoughts on this one because yeah. All right, we got some interesting things. I see a bunch of people in chat. Hello, y'all. Thanks for joining us. So I guess, I don't know, should we just jump into it?
What's going on, chat?
The chapter icon is the blighted tree. So, all right. In the morning, after Lan and Moraine have removed every trace of their presence, they leave the campsite. As they travel, the evil and corruption of the blight becomes more and more evident. Creatures come and attack them. Even the trees are attacking, but all of that ceases when they hear the sounds of creatures chasing them. They run in terror, trying to get to the mountains, when suddenly the landscape changes. They have arrived at the domain of the Green Man. The Green Man recognizes Moraine from her previous visit and recognizes what Perrin is, somehow. He also says something about Rand being a child of the dragon, and something about the people of the dragon, and how it is weird that he has a sword. And Moraine interrupts to explain that they came for the Eye of the World. And, of course, we have Todd's drawing for this one, which is the Green Man and loyal. And he's super cute with little butterflies.
Check that one out.
Yeah.
The Green Man.
So, okay.
So where would you like to start first? I guess just in in whatever linear order that.
Yeah, I don't even know what to ask you on this one. Let's start with the blight. The blight here is very, very different from the show. Yeah.
I will say this: the blight in the book is way better than the blight in the show. It's way better. It's. I don't know how do you feel about that, Jenny?
I mean, I agree. I think I told you last time. It's one of the things that a lot of us feel sort of like. I know that they had a location picked that I've seen. I meant to get pictures. Man, I totally forgot again. I'll put the pictures in when we edit. I'll put the pictures in. But they had a really, really cool location to film that they couldn't travel to because of COVID restrictions. So that they had to build a blight. But obviously there's things that we, there's no creatures. There's no,
correct.
There's none of that going on. And some of that I do wonder... if they had just, had trees lashing about or weird creatures, would it have suddenly started looking I don't know, cheesy? But also, we're missing some of the terror of the blight. The blight is terrifying. Whereas in the show, it's just, I don't even know what to call it.
I mean,
yeah.
To be honest, I think the only thing we really saw in the blight that was supernatural, so to speak, was Rand's hallucinations about Brother Bahausaman or the lawyer.
The lawyer?
But I think that's where he got his nickname, the lawyer. The lawyer
he
when he went to the
lawyer,
when we saw him in the blight. He was. I don't know why that brother. I don't understand why. But the creatures that we see in the book, the trees, even the fact that every time somebody brings something up, Loyal and Lan kind of second that, and it's like, bro, are we gonna live or not? Every time we say something bad is gonna happen, y'all like up it up with one more bad thing, and I think Rand actually has that feeling during the course of that walk, which is hilarious. But the creatures, the trees moving, all of that, and even to the end, I don't want to skip too far ahead just yet, maybe, but even to the end when they speak of the worm, like I'm ready to see what's next. I feel like we didn't even get to see half of what the Blight had in store, just based upon the fact that I think Moraine and them were like, don't touch that, be careful of that, you know, whatever the case may be. So it's one of those things where I feel like the creatures were unlimited.
Yeah, that is something like they're like, oh,
just the fear of what we can't see and don't see.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, the worms are coming. We got to get to the other place where the things that the worms are scared of are like everything gets worse. It all gets worse. So the blight in the books is terrifying, and the blight in the show, I like Rapunzel, I think in the chat said, like, it just feels cramped and dank and dirty. Like, I mean, you know, I know you've watched at least part of The Last of Us. Like, it feels like it might infect you, but it doesn't feel like it's gonna kill you. Whereas in the books, it definitely feels like the blight is trying to kill you. So. No,
the blight does look like it's trying to kill you. And it was actually, it's weird actually kind of navigating through the blight with the characters, because a tree moves and, you know, it's like, okay, maybe it's just wind or something. Yeah. But then you read the descriptions of things. It's like, okay, you might need to keep, you know, walk forward, but keep your head tracking that tree right there to see what happens. Because at one point, things get the weirdest when I think the tree reaches down and grabs some creature, and
it totally does,
kill it or something weird like that, which is even weirder because it even seems like throughout the course of this book in general, the evil within the storyline is not even on one accord. And we'll even talk about that at the end of the book too. Like the evil is not on one accord. So to see evil fighting evil, so to speak, was weird as well. And then I think something shot out at them. And did they say it was bigger than a bear? But it had like, I know it's the one that Matt kind of shot in the eye with one of his arrows.
Yeah. Like the creatures are all different sizes. They're all deformed. They've got claws on them. And Rand does think something to the effect of, if it wasn't for the fact that they tried to kill each other as much as they were trying to kill us, we probably would have died. Like, so you're right. Yeah, they aren't working together. It's the lack of teamwork that saved their life here.
And that is awkward because I think my initial thoughts is I'm thinking that everything there is controlled by the Dark One or is in allegiance with the Dark One. But I don't know. Maybe these are just dark creatures that have their own thought processes, and you know, and know when to ditch town when the worm comes.
Yeah. What I think it is, I mean, this is just my theory, but it is just the Dark One made, like, he's tainted it. It's that. I so hate that word's been ruined, but he's tainted the whole blight, so it just wants death and destruction, and it doesn't really care how it gets it. So it's not that it's like it's not working towards a goal other than death. So if you happen to get caught in that, but it doesn't mind killing each other. Yeah.
And I'll say I feel like the blight is scarier than the waste. How do you feel?
Than the waste? Yeah, I think so.
Than the ways.
Oh, the ways. Not the waste.
If you had to pick one to go, the ways. Yeah, the ways.
I was like, how do you know about
the
that?
waste? I was about to say, what's that?
I was like, you don't know about that. What are you talking about?
Hold on. Did I just accidentally stumble across something?
you might have, but I was like, okay, but yes, definitely darker scarier than the ways. Yeah, I think so, because it's more in your face. The ways are ominous, but if you don't get attacked by like that Machin Shin, the wind, you're fine.
Okay. I would like to see like a percentage, and I think Loyal actually mentioned it. What percentage of people can kind of make it through or what type of person can make it through the waves versus the blight? It might be a little bit different. And then too, just in general, because it's a pack of people, they navigate and fight through it a lot better. And I think that's also why maybe in the show, if they had to fight all those things, I don't know if Moraine and Rand would have made it through if it was just those two. They actually had a group effort in kind of dealing with these creatures.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I kind of get why they, like, I mean, aside from losing the location, I kind of get why they had to make it a little less overt. Because, they had one episode. They were only given 8 episodes for the first season. They had one episode to deal with the blight, so they couldn't really make it be as epic as it was. I do wish it had been like and I'm saying this as somebody who really, really enjoyed the show. I wish the blight had felt, for me, more threatening than it did.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. No, so. I agree. I mean, it looked like when we first see it in the show, it looks like it's going to be worse than it actually is.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I feel like there was a big lead up to it, and we're there, and it's like, okay, we're through it. Which actually, I want to kind of correspond to this series, to the book itself. Moraine is, there's all this talk about how are you going to find the place twice? How are you going to find the other word twice, whatever the case may be. It's like she just went in and you have this issue and you just stumble out. It's like, that really wasn't any complex strategy to find the eye of the world again. It's like, okay.
Because the eye of the world it's not in one place. It moves somehow through some sort of magical whatever. But it's a need that makes you find it. And because we're in Rand's perspective, this is me. I don't know that I'm looking in chat to see if anybody will confirm this. I always thought, I wonder if it was Rand's desperation that helped them fight it, because we're in Rand's mind and we hear his need. He's like, safe, and then they end up in the safety place. So that's what I always thought. Like Moraine was just hoping that one of the Taviran that she was with would have a strong enough pull. That's my interpretation.
Which turned out, I guess that turned out to be true.
Yeah.
Which leads us into the Green Man,
yes.
the much anticipated Green Man, Brother Tree.
Yep, Brother Leafy. Brother Leafy. All right.
The original vegetarian.
It's just like nicknames off the top of your head. It's nice.
I'm not gonna lie, like his introduction was as pleasant as Brother Book's introduction.
Okay, yeah.
They have that same aura, that same energy about them, that wise but gentleness about them, which I love a lot. But this is the first time I feel like we got into a situation and Moraine is no longer big dog.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's no longer big dog.
Nope.
And you don't see that often.
Yeah. Definitely not. She's a bit out of her league here. So I do want to ask your thoughts on the Green Man just specifically. Like, he does remind you of Loyal, which I think makes sense because Loyal calls him brother. So I think there might be some kind of relation, like, I don't know, species really. I don't even know, but like something there.
Yeah.
But like, what did you, I don't know. You had been talking about like the Incredible Hulk or whatever. Yeah.
Bruce Banner.
Yeah. Was there like
that was gonna get a Marvel cameo?
Yeah. So what did you think about him? Just when you first saw, because he's not at all what you expected.
No. So the Bruce Banner stuff was a joke.
Of course, yeah.
I figured he was gonna be some creature looking thing. So there's good and bad, and let's go with the good first. So when I first was reading his description, I was like, man, this character seems like some type of Spider-Rick Chronicles looking character guy. And then you see how big, like we already know Loyal is big from the description of when he was entering the ways and how people perceived him and thought of him.
Yeah.
And then you hear this guy, and then I think they're saying just as much bigger as Loyal is to a man, the tree is to Loyal, and it's like, goodness gracious, this is a pretty big thing. But the bad, I feel like this is like super spoilery as a show watcher.
Really? Okay.
I feel like it's like super sport. Like, matter of fact, this whole ending is probably pretty bad for somebody who wants to stay untainted from this.
Untainted. Okay.
from watching.
So you think that we're seeing
as a show watcher?
You think that we're seeing stuff in this that will be in the show at some point?
Yeah, for sure. Because and we'll talk about two other characters,
of course,
as appropriate. But this is one of, like, in my opinion, one of the most pivotal characters in the book.
The Green Man?
So to speak. Yeah, even though he has a limited time frame with this, I feel like he has a monumental impact.
He does, yeah.
And just because of how unique this character looks, I feel like this is a huge character. So I'm guessing maybe you think it might be budget or time too. This is one of those ones where I don't know why this particular character was not in the show, but because of the way that season 1 ends, and the way that the book ends, and the way that this character navigates through that, it makes me wonder if he'll even be in the next season.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, because we're doing the finale here, so I'm assuming nobody is watching the beginning of this video who hasn't finished the book. But the Green Man does die. I am not anticipating the Green Man showing up later.
I actually think so. And I'm going to tell you how I think he'll show up.
Yeah.
I think he'll show up just as his remnant of the tree that he left behind.
Ah, okay.
I think they'll pay homage. You gotta pay some type of homage to the Green Man. I feel like they'll pay homage to him just by showing some magnificent looking whatever type of tree that he turned into.
Yeah.
I think that's how they would do it. Because otherwise, this is a huge skip. And so far, we don't have Elias in the show.
Yeah.
It's a massive skip.
Yeah.
It's a massive skip.
Yeah. I mean, I'm appreciating that. I know a lot of people get to the Green Man and they're like, what? There's suddenly, Allie, who is not here, but she was in one of our previous chats. When she got to the Green Man, she got to this, there's tree people? It was just, it felt so.
Yeah, for sure.
It felt like it came out of nowhere for her. And so, and I think a lot of people think that. Now, I will say I did it because I told you last week, I think I had a really nerdy Arthurian legend phase at a certain point in my 20s, and the Green Man is a part of Arthurian legend. So I was fully expecting a tree person who made plants. That's what I was expecting.
Okay.
Because it made sense with the Arthurian themes in the story. And the fact that he's called the Green Man. He's literally called the Green Man in Arthurian legend. So, and in a lot of British mythology. Sense. But if you don't know that, it does feel like it comes out of nowhere. And so I think that might be why it was skipped in the show. It was just there's been nothing like it so far. And so, you're watching, I don't know why The Last of Us is the only show I can think of right now, but you're watching The Last of Us, and suddenly in the very final episode, there's a witch. And you're like, wait, what? Why?
Yeah.
So...
For sure. And I will say this too, because I see some people talking about this in the chat, and I was joking about having a Marvel cameo. He does have Groot vibes, and I see people seeing Groot in the chat. He does have Groot vibes, and that is something that I was kind of thinking of as well. But you're right. He is I would say he is the most unique character in the book, and we have some pretty interesting characters, but just him being dropped in there out of nowhere is unique. Actually, also too, and remind me if I'm wrong on this, we only start hearing about the Green Man in the last 10 chapters maybe of the book?
There is.
Or did he come up early?
He came up early in Tom's stories, but Tom literally just says, I will tell, he's listing the stories that he will tell. And one of them is Tales of the Green Man. So it's in chapter 5 or whatever, but it's literally just, I will tell stories about him.
So in hearing you say that, in reading or hearing that early on, I literally thought it was just a nickname they gave to a man who probably had a green thumb or did something with force. Yeah. But as you get deeper into the book and you see more creatures, you're like, okay, no, this could actually be some type of specimen.
Exactly,
This is a creature that we're about to deal with. Yeah. So maybe that could have been a little bit different. But going into all of the revelations that the Green Man has, and off jump, Wolf brother, you know what I'm saying? Brother Loyal, Rand, so it's oh my goodness, he's just off wham telling everybody who they are. Yeah, the stuff that, and to be honest with you, the stuff that we wish Moraine would be saying off bat, since she already knows it. See, I like this brother right here. You know what I'm saying? When you can't talk to people, talk to Mother or Brother Nature.
Brother Nature.
There we go, Brother Nature.
Yes. But I mean, Rand doesn't ask any follow-up questions because he says stuff to Rand that makes Rand uncomfortable. He says something about people of the dragon. That is neither now nor then. Why do you have a sword? Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. And Rand's like, shut up. Stop talking.
Well, Perrin has that attitude too. Yeah. Perrin has that type of vibe in dealing with it too. And at this point, we've been through so much stuff. I don't know why Rand is in denial. First of all, Tam ain't your daddy no more, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Good dude though. Yeah. Raised you up. You can still call him daddy. But I think at this point, it's time to stop being naive. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's time to stop being naive.
He's not your father. He's your daddy. He's not your father.
Yeah, he's your daddy. He's not your biological father. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. It is. The Green Man says some interesting stuff there. It is interesting to see. Oh, the only other thing I have in my notes, when they're fighting in the Blight, Matt uses the old tongue again.
I'm not gonna lie. Rosamund Pike is pretty good, but when she started yelling, I had to take my hip. I had to take one of my earpods. I was like, goodness gracious, you're doing too good of a job right now. It was because my phone was too far away, so I couldn't hit the volume down button. So I had to yank it out my ear.
Yeah.
So I didn't catch everything he started yelling, but I knew he was going back until he spazzing out again.
Yeah.
But
It is weird that she does. Like, I think I mentioned this before. I have never heard an audiobook narrator like yell. They always fake yell.
Man.
They fake yell. They're
That's
like,
a fact. Oh,
"What?"
there was no faking.
Yeah, no, she's like, it's loud, and you can.
I feel like she even went head back and yelled with it.
Yes!
She really got it out of her system.
Yes, just bringing up her narration, just because this is going to be old news by the time this video comes out, but she just won the Audie for Best Female Narrator for audiobooks.
Okay.
Yeah, really.
Congratulations.
Yeah, she actually showed up to the award show, which, you know, she's a big Hollywood actor, so I think they weren't expecting her, because when they announced her name, there's like this silence, and then they're like, She's here. She's actually here. Like, they didn't expect her to be there. And she cried while accepting her speech. Her mom is an opera singer, and her mom is directing it. So I bet you they are doing head back stuff. Like, I bet you her mom is like, okay, now from your diaphragm, blah, blah, like, because
that's a fact.
That's what her mom's
And it's
job
crazy to think this, because oftentimes your introductions to certain things, and I've listened to a few audiobooks since then, but sometimes your introduction to things, like, you see that and it's like, oh, this is really good. And you go to the next thing, it's like, oh, I thought that was good. This is a little bit better than the other. But now hearing you saying she just got a reward for best, it's like, oh, so I did get the cream of the crop from the jump.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
she might mess up the rest of the audiobooks I listened to with hers being so high quality, so well done.
Yeah, it is good. And I also will just mention this just because it made me so happy. Like, there are previous narrators who narrated this, and I mention them names all the time because I love them. She thanked them in her speech. Like, she wasn't like she was like, I can't remember exactly, but I'm only able to do this thanks to Kate and Kate Redding and Michael Kramer, who did it before, and like everything. She always mentions them because, you know, she knows how beloved they are, and they did an amazing job, and she's doing an amazing job. And I just like that she isn't like being like, and now I've done it, so that's my version is the version. Like, she's like, no, there's two, and they're both good, and I like that. So anyway, back to the actual book that we're covering. Is there anything else? I don't have any other notes on this particular chapter. Is there anything else in this one that you had thoughts on? This is just the Blight, and we arrive in the Green Man's domain, and he's super cool.
Super cool. It was abrupt. Like I said, it was an abrupt entrance from the Blight back to this very cool looking place, neat looking, green, very, earthy environment, and an introduction to a character that it seems like everybody kind of pretty much has respect for. The only other thing that I was going to say about this interaction is, I think at one point the Green Man sees Rand and he's talking to Rand, and then he like touched the scar on his face. Yes. And it made me feel like, did he touch that because it's like, Rand, your other self did this to me, but all right, you cool for now because I don't think you turned into that other part of yourself yet. So when he touched his face like that, I was like, why are you touching it? But then he also let him know, like, okay, you're safe here, child of the dragon, or whatever he said to him.
Yeah. But yeah, he has a scar on his face, and he says that he's missing some of his memories somehow. So he doesn't quite get, like, he doesn't know everything that's going on, but he knows things that nobody tells him, but he doesn't have his memories. So yeah, I don't know. It is interesting. I would not mind knowing more about the history of the Green Man. So, all right. So the next chapter, we've got the chapter icon, which is 3 leaves on a branch. The title is Meetings at the Eye. Okay, and my summaries get longer because things get way more confusing. So
yeah, they do.
Okay,
they do.
As he leads them to the Eye, the Green Man tells our party about how the Eye of the World was made by male and female Aes Sedai together, and that they died in the making of it. Moraine explains that the Eye is pure, untainted Saidin, the male half of the One Power, and she says she's brought them here because the boys are Taviran and they must face the Dark One here. 2 men approach, and they are older than old. They name themselves as 2 of the Forsaken, powerful channelers from the Age of Legends who served the Dark One. Lan attacks and is tossed aside like a rag doll, And then Nynaeve tries to attack the Forsaken with her belt knife, and she is caught by one of the Forsaken. One of the Forsaken approaches Rand, saying that Rand will serve the Dark One, alive or dead. The Green Man returns and fights with the Forsaken, killing him, but he dies in the process, and an oak tree grows in his place. Moraine then tries to attack the remaining Forsaken, telling the others to run, and as he runs away, Rand hears Moraine begin to scream. And Todd's artwork for this one is the Green Man fighting.
What we working with, Todd? That's a good one.
Yeah.
He took the headband off now. He took the flower headband off.
Yeah.
To get to work.
Yes, exactly.
Things wasn't pretty no more.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
When I say turn up, this chapter turned up, man. This was, again, from this point on, it's just drastically different from the show.
Very.
I might as well just tune the whole show out. At this point, I'm tuning the entire show out. I actually had to be honest with you, I had to read it twice because I watched the show.
I'm in
because
no way surprised.
I did. Because I'm reading the book and I'm like, okay, when's Pat and Fame finna come off and chop off two people's heads with two faces beside? Like, there's different things that happen at the finale that I'm waiting to see, that it just kind of makes me not pay attention to the narrative that I'm supposed to be listening to. So that's one of the reasons why I had to listen to it twice. But as soon as we get there, we see the Forsaken, and it's like, goodness gracious, this is just it. We have no breaks. There's no breaks. There's the blight, then there's 2 seconds of sunshine, and then we're right back to the action. Yeah,
and the Forsaken say that Matt led them there. So it's like Matt's dagger.
Yes.
They followed Matt's dagger. So they probably wouldn't have found the Green Man's domain if it wasn't for Matt, our dear friend Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at this point, with it already having been discussed amongst the group that he can't necessarily separate from the dagger, it's kind of like okay. But if there's some indication that they've been tracking him since day one, then I might have to fight Matt. After we get done taking care of the Forsaken, me and Matt gonna have to fight one more time.
Yeah.
But these creatures I'm just say Forsaken, as soon as they start talking, one of the interesting things that I noticed, when it obviously they start talking, talking that talk when it's it's time to get to fighting, and Lan glances over and he looks at Moraine and he looks at Nynaeve, and in my head it's like he's at odds about who he needs to protect first or to try to, and that was like really, it was one of those things that once they get in that situation, Moraine might be like, I know what you was thinking. Don't make that mistake again. You need to be over here by Big Mama next time.
Well, you know what it reminded me of? As I've said this about the show, and I don't know if this is true. I don't know if this is what they were trying to get across. But when they're in the ways in the show, and they're showing us like what all that wind made them all think, Lan thinks something to the effect of, you won't be able to save her. But we don't know who he's thinking about. If he's thinking about Moraine or if he's thinking about Nynaeve.
Yes.
And I always thought that, like, my interpretation of that is that was part of the wind's torment. Like, the wind was tormenting him with, now you have two loyalties and you can't, you don't even know. You don't even know who you want to save. And it, like, it's torturing him. In this moment, I went back and listened to it 3 times, just this one section, because I was like, do they ever say who Lan goes to? No, they don't. They say it only took him a moment of hesitation and then he moved, but we never find out which way he goes before the Forsaken tosses him aside.
So let's vote now.
Yeah.
Let's vote now. I say he went to Nynaeve.
I would imagine, I think he went Nynaeve too, but I don't know. Robert Jordan deliberately left that ambiguous, and I think the show did. I think the show did it too.
That's my vote. Yeah. That's my vote. And actually, that whole relationship is interesting because, as we've noticed throughout the entire series, especially since Nynaeve has been traveling with Moraine and Lan, every time Nynaeve gets like super emotional in regards to Lan, Moraine always has her 2 cents about it. Like when they let's rewind a little bit. When they were in the blight, and Lan went to he got taken over by the trees for a split second, whatever the case may be. And Nynaeve said something. It's kind of like, just wait, he can handle himself.
Yes.
It's like,
yes.
Shawty, let me feel how I feel. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But she's kind of like a mother-in-law kind of. She almost is like mother-in-law to them a little bit.
A little bit,
but at the same time, it's like, are you mother-in-law or are you kind of mistress? Which one, which one is it? Because, in the show we see the way I'm going to just put it like this. I don't care what nobody says. The way they got in the hot tub together in episode 1, y'all can't tell me that didn't lend itself to for first time watchers to think that they had some other stuff going on.
It absolutely did. It absolutely did. But I will say it was interesting watching your reactions because none of you said that. Like you all, are they together? And then you sort of just instinctively went, but I don't think so. I don't think so. So even though because I know there were people who shipped them. I know there were people who were like, oh, Asadai and Water. But you guys didn't seem to somehow. I don't know why, but you just didn't.
I think it was just that, like, all right, y'all might be friends with benefits at this point, but supernatural benefits. But once we started to understand the connection between Aes Sedai and Water a little bit, I think we kind of like calmed down off of that. And then there were some certain things that Moraine, when she looked into the mirror, it seemed like they both had their other options. But at the same time, like, it wouldn't be one of those things where I would be surprised if, we find out that they had some history. But because of their connection, they just, they just leave it at that.
Yeah.
And Nynaeve has, up until this point, I'll say this, up until this point, Nynaeve has been restrained from actually going after Lan in certain situations. And in this one instant, she did not get restrained.
She tried to kill a Forsaken with her belt knife. Like, it's one of my... Nynaeve! Like, that's dumb, but also, Nynaeve, you are so brave. Like, you are so brave.
Yeah, like I wish, and sometimes, like, the women never talk funky to the other women. They always talk funky to the men. Like, they'd be like, you sheep herder. Or Lan even says, you sheep herder. I'll be like, Shawty, did you forget you a Two Rivers wisdom? Sit your behind down. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you doing? Like, even Rand is smart enough to know, like, why are we fighting Forsaken? And then, of course, the rest of the crew tries to follow suit. And then one of the Forsaken, he doesn't even look at Matt and Perrin, and they just get thumped to the ground and then get talked wet to at that, talking about, y'all need to learn that position, because if y'all do, y'all make for good. These villains here, they just have a slick tongue. I'll just put it like that.
Yeah, it's true. It's
slick
true.
Tongue.
I guess it's a thing about Nynaeve that I mean, you see it in the show too a bit. Like, when her people are in danger, she does not think. She just does. Like, she just, I will, in the show, it's, I will chase them across the land to get them back from these people. Although in the book she does that too. But like, it's, my people are in danger.
That was a bar. You didn't even realize it. You just said a bar.
Oh, look at me.
I would chase them across the land. There's a bar right there. You didn't pick up on it.
No, I didn't. Look how cool I am. But like, in this situation, Lan is being attacked, and it's the Forsaken. And I don't know if you've been hearing this word Forsaken be mentioned throughout the books, but the Forsaken are literally this world's version of the boogeymen. Like, the Forsaken are what parents scared. Like, if you don't eat your vegetables, the Forsaken will come and get you. Like, and there's a Forsaken literally attacking the man that she's proposed to last night, and she's like, here, I've got my little tiny knife that I use to, like, peel apples. I will try and kill you with that. Like,
it's like you don't get any romantic brownie points for that. It's just stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand, but it's just
I'm giving
stupid.
her brownie points for it.
It's just stupid.
I'm giving her points for it. I love it.
That's fine. You can pick them. You can pick them up from the eye of the world floor that you just got thrown on.
It is true that, like, all of them, with the exception of Rand. Rand is the only one who doesn't try to fight the Forsaken, and apparently he's the only one who can. The rest of them all do. Every single one of them all try to fight the Forsaken. Everybody
who has zero chances are the first ones up to do it.
Yes.
And this is the biggest thing. This is the craziest part about it. Moraine's been talking this whole game. My presence is what keeps you safe. In the one instance we don't see Moraine doing something, why is anybody else doing something right now? Why is anybody else doing something? But I think what I think happened was they were still on that high of fighting and getting past the creatures in the blight. So they were feeling themselves. Matt got him a few arrows and he was feeling himself. Lan gave him some compliments, talking about good shot. They were feeling themselves, and I guess they thought they was ready to take on the Forsaken.
Yeah. Well, with the rest of them, maybe. Like, Egwene tries to channel Nynaeve, I don't think she was thinking. That's just my interpretation of Nynaeve. I don't think she was thinking.
Yeah,
she was all instinct at that point.
She blanked out. And again, that's one of those moments where he's like, oh, she really loves me. You know, we kind of figured that though.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like she can be a little bit hot-headed. I was thinking that.
Sorry, I don't mean to. She could be a little bit hot-headed. Yeah, that's a good description of Nynaeve.
Oh my goodness. I'm not surprised, and I'll even say it a little bit deeper. I'm not surprised even furthermore because I feel like her tone towards Rand changed dramatically once she found out that he could channel or that he could touch the one power. It was not the same. Their connection, I feel like, is a little bit different, for sure. And I know Rand talks about that between. He feels like Moraine doesn't really talk to him that much ever since that's been the case. But I feel like it's that way with actually most of the women. Yeah, and okay, look at the chat. Now,
sorry, people are having fun with this. I feel like she could be a little hot-headed, Adison.
Are they time stamping it? They time stamping it.
Just a little, a tad.
No, somebody had to send, and once everything is said and done, somebody had to send me that comment again so I can remember what my initial statements were. Yes. She does strike me like she'll go too far for the ones that she loves, or for the ones that she loves, or against the ones that she hates.
Yeah, I will say, reading it this time made me feel a little bit better about one of the things in the show that, while I loved it, I also, part of me was a little sad. In episode 4 in the show, which is Nynaeve's big explosion when she becomes the one, I was like, her first channeling in that moment is because the boy that she likes is hurt. And I was like, I missed it from the show or from the book that her first channeling was to heal a child that she was caring for. It just felt a little cliche to me that like her first channeling is for a boy. And I kind of wished it had been something else. But then reading this time, I was like, no, in the book, she literally tries to fight a Forsaken with her wildlife because the boy that she loves is hurt. Like, it's the same thing. So it made me feel a little bit better about it was my one tiny thing in episode 4 that I was just like, I was a little uncomfortable with. So I felt a little better about it.
For sure.
This.
Another thing I'll say about the Eye of the World is, why the heck are there no guardrails in there?
Sorry, now I'm laughing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something so dangerous. It's like this endless pit. And I know how good Robert Jordan is with description words. And there were guardrails that kept people safe from the distance of the abyss. Can we have something in there? Like, I feel unsafe even reading the chapters right now, being this close to this Eye of the World thing. Can we please have some type of precautionary method? I don't know.
I know you're not allowed to watch my videos. Again, spoilers. But if you have watched them, you will have heard me rant about the lack of guardrails in set design.
About that same.
Not just in Wheel of Time, in Rings of Power, in like almost every sci-fi shows. They just like edges, and then guardrails. People, guardrails.
That's funny. I see stuff like that. And of course it looks neat for shows.
Yeah.
But when you see something sculpted out and there's like alleyways and entryways leading to it, and then there's no guardrails to the most dangerous thing in the vicinity, it's like, okay, what's going on here?
My biggest pet peeve. It's like, Rapunzel pointing this out. I have talked about this many times.
That's funny. I didn't know you had the talking point. So one day I do hope to check that out and hear your rant about it. I'm pretty sure I'll agree.
In the design of the White Tower in the show, there's just no rails everywhere. Like it just drives me crazy because they also seem to have designed it so it looks like they have marble floors. And marble floors get really, really slippery when wet. So you're just like sliding on this floor to the edge where you fall and die. And it's very bad design. Anyway, okay. You've derailed me with your talk of.
And we've already had one character get hurt as a result of the lack of. We've had one character already get hurt for the lack of appropriate guards in this show, and that's Rand when he fell off the castle into lanes and them castles. Come on, man. Yes. Keep people safe in the book, please. That's not Taviran.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, the other thing, I'm just looking in my notes to see if there's other things I wanted to bring up. early before the fight happens with the Forsaken, Matt and Rand mention something about they want to like go see the Tree of Life, and the Tree of Life isn't there.
Yes.
For something, and the Green Man looks at Rand specifically oddly and says something like, "You of all people should know it's not here." Any thoughts on that?
No, other than I think we got an indication of some things that we could see in a later book, or that'll be main focal points of a later book. But outside of that in particular, it was oh, you didn't come for this major quest, you came for the side quest. That's what it kind of struck me as.
Somebody just dropped a Bible verse in the chat, and it is very appropriate.
Hey, look, that's coming straight from the word right there.
Yes. Set design. Come on, read your Deuteronomy 22:8. Exactly. They knew about it back then. Come on.
Yeah. Hey, maybe that's a fact. Instead of fighting the Forsaken, they should have just started dropping scriptures on them. Maybe they would have repented right then.
Yes.
I doubt it.
Probably. But the only other thing I wanted to bring up, just because I think that this should be referenced, it was a complaint I had about episode 8, that I didn't like Nynaeve's fake out death in episode 8. Where she looks like she dies and then she gets healed.
Yeah.
I had forgotten until someone pointed it out to me, so I'm just going to mention it. She has a fake out death here in the book. It looks like she died. Like it's
okay.
So it's kind of hypocritical of me to be like, oh, I can't believe the show did that when it literally happens in the book too.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. And actually what I'm getting a gauge on is how ruthless Robert Jordan will be.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting a gauge on, because I've watched several shows, so there will be characters that you get as close to as the ones that we see now. And if they kill them off, you kind of understand, okay, we need to be careful navigating with some of these characters as far as the heartstrings that you get attached to. But I will say this, sometimes they may not do it on book 1, but as you progress, they might start slashing people as things go. So I'm curious to see how ruthless Robert Jordan will be as far as when it comes to getting rid of some characters for the sake of the story.
Yeah.
I have one final thought on this one, and that is to the Green Man. He pretty much foretells his death when he says my end is linked with it somehow.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm at least hoping that it'll be more than a chapter before that actually comes true.
Yeah.
But nah, it wasn't even a chapter, and that brother was. And then Moraine had the audacity to say something. What'd she say? It probably won't be as bad as you think. Oh, brother, it was bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna appreciate you for the effort that you gave, but it was pretty bad.
It was, his death was not Green Man. Anyway, okay. All right. So as I said, that was part 1. Part 2 is going to be on the Everyday Negroes channel, which I will have linked in the description below, as well as the playlist where you can catch all of the episodes of this. So go check that out. You do want to, of course, hear the full conversation. So head on over to the Everyday Negroes channel, and of course, we'll see you next week with the next episode. Bye.